Revolt. Against whom am I? Well, I start each video with that. The U.S. is quagmired. It's completely controlled by Hoovers. And the blunt truth is, this is coming as expose editor. So I just tell you what is going on and what they write, and then I review it, summarize it, analyze it, and report it. And there's a situation. To me, it's hilarious. I'm not a special person. I'm just a little old preacher trying to keep up my health, trying to get some of the vast wealth forcibly stolen from me so I can buy a corner property. It's the way to do it. So you can drive in and attend service and drive out and have a little church in an area in the southwest, maybe a little desert area. Because hot and dry climate is for my arthritis. I suffer real bad if I take a shower and have to forget the window open. Oh, or I get under an air conditioner. Oh, boy, that arthritis is kind of nasty. So I have to do certain things in a certain way. And I have to say to a certain diet. So I go to a place called Trader Joe's. Now, my original name was Joseph Joe. And they're constantly trying to get you to trade off of who you are to do something illegal or questionable so they can write that down. So now they have something on you to blackmail you or anything they can. That's the Hoover system. Yeah, blackmail of politicians and so forth. Well, people are human beings and they're bound to make a mistake but what they do is, I'm telling you, the amount of money they spent on just this operation, because they knew I had to go and get some of my diet and my bread. I only have one type of bread that really agrees with me, and especially when I toast it, it's great. And so that's what I have to buy right now, or I prefer to buy. And they have it at the bottom now, with the bread turned around, so I couldn't see it, couldn't read it. And then they come in, just the amount of operatives in just this one operation could give me enough money where they would say, you take this money and sign that you have no more claims against the United States. I'd be forced to do it. Just this operation, I'm telling you. That's how insane they are. They are hopefully sickos. They are hopefully Hoovers. Now, I don't say they are really cocksuckers unless they happen to be immoral and, like Hoover, a queer, a homosexual. That's the term that President Nixon, while president, finalized Hoover and Hoovers as. He didn't say it was a decree, but he says, that cocksucker. And he meant it. Him, he meant. That's what they are. Those, you see, I could have got Nixon off, and I tried. We had a meeting where he grew up in his father's store or something, and now it's a store in a little restaurant, or it's next door to it. And I suggested that as 007, you have that I have been in anything you want, any place, anywhere. Do you understand? Just to stay alive. with Hoover, for sure. Maybe your most dangerous was who Hoover would send to knock you off. In other words, your friends were who you had to watch the most, and even your enemies. Because Hoover was hoping that for sure I wouldn't outlive him. And then he'd have it covered up. And your enemies, some of them say they're professionals, and they say, look, he had 10, 15, 20 agents try to frame him to say this, that, or the other thing. And whether they do or not, they get something and they can write what they want. And then that's what he's got as the official record. He said, at least that man is a man, and he says the truth. That's one thing about this Joe Doc. It's an honorary title for that Chief Castellano. He tells the truth. I respect him, but that immoral cocksucker Hoover, you see? So they had almost every aisle, I think every aisle, with at least two people, one people, or a cart and a people, in which no matter where I go, they can say I did something, and by doing that something, I'm involving myself in what they want to write that I'm involved in. You say, that's crazy. What do you think I'm saying? Hoover was a crazy fiend, a criminally insane maniac, assassins, force, grand theft, immoral. So I classified him as what Nixon said and knew Hoover and the Hoovers were doing to him. I could have got Nixon off the hook, because where Nixon made his mistake is, as you come up through the ranks, you got to be one of them and do what they do, go where they go, and kind of do what they do. Then you're one of them, and then they'll let you get up. So that's what Nixon did. And of course, if you could be president, you say, "Boy, I'd like to be president, or at least vice president or president." You see. But when he was president, he says, "Hey, now I'm president. I'm not going to be. I'm above Hoover by law, and that's the way it's going to be." But Hoover said, "I'll show him." So Nixon formed his plumbers group. He got into trying to play Hoover's game of being intelligent and having your own little group. Well, Hoover can frame anybody. They got experts. But guns, drugs, they can buy whatever. They can buy whatever they want. Frame, blackmail. So they had Nixon then in a bind where they could expose him. And that's what Hoover was doing by deep throat. Do you see? And I said, well, all right, we come out, I'm 007. And it was my idea. And you blame me. No, let me see. You come out where it's me, Castellano. And a lot of people in this country, they say, oh, yeah, well, then he's somebody, he's some. No. They own casinos where all people go for recreation. It's called gaming, not gambling, gaming. You play the odds, and they're the house, and of course they make money whether you win or lose. But most people can't play odds, so they'll lose. That's how they make their money. It's gaming, perfectly legal in Las Vegas. So they own these casinos. And I know these gentlemen, they have families. And one of them told me, he says, they're giving you a real bad time. He says, that's wrong, and we're helping you because you have herniated disc, like you say, and their insurance guy says, no, it's sprained, so you're going through all that aggravation because they want to lie, they're lying to you. So you can go to our doctor. He'll, of course, tell you the truth. And then I said, I appreciate that. He says, where do you work? I says, well, I work in engineering construction. When they let me work, usually troubleshooting. If they're in a bind, I run out there because I have a background in science. He says, well, we can give you a job at the casino. And I said, well, it won't look good if I'm at the casino and some of my scientific friends that have been there in that area. See, it's more than one area. You see, there's Mercury, there's the atomic area, and then there's the NRDS, Nuclear Research Development Station. People don't know about that. And then it's what they now call Area 51, even past that, you see. So I said, well, look good, I'll be on it. You know, I says, no, I'll wait, and I usually get by when they call me and do my work. He says, what did you want to become? Because you made 4 years high school, 3 A's and 6 in math, you know, you're a sharp man. I said, well, believe it or not, I thought maybe an Italian decent man like Lincoln can get up there and say, look, this is me, you vote for me, I think I'll do best for you. If not, I wish you luck. Hey, look at me and laugh. He says, yeah. He says, but, hey, you know what? Don't ever say you talk to us. Don't ever. He says, because we're supposed to be bad people. I said, what do you mean? He says, I go home at night and I sit with my family and I watch those movies. He says, I squirm when I see all those things. He says, we're businessmen. We own casino. We're businessmen. He says, they rob a gas station, they blame us. He says, I wouldn't have time to come down from where we are to go to the gas station. I let my attendant fill the gas. Well, I want to go over there and rob a few $100s that they're blaming me, you know, but he says, but the truth is, he says, we work for the politicians. I looked at him. He says, that's right. We can't do anything unless the politicians are paid off. You have to pay off the politicians. We work for the politicians. He says, you understand? But we're business people. He says, so if you want work, I says, no, I'll keep puttering along the way I do. Now, what are you going to do? They help me. They say the truth. Huh? They got good families. Their families go to church, the same church where the Kennedys go, the same church, go to communion maybe together. Yet Hoover's got them arguing between themselves, and then he records who says what, and he sees who's of the two is the last standing. That's the way Hoover did it. You see? So he got Nixon to try to be opposite him as to inside that the shadow government, the Hooverists, were not going to have the control. But they had him in a bind. And I says, you can't kick out the president. Come on. Well, I said, so I'll say it was my idea for whatever. And they'll say, oh, Castellano. Yeah, well, I said, and then I'll say, hey, wait a minute. But I had to do it because I'm 007. Now, do you understand? Now you've been playing me on both sides of the fence, and I'm anything you want. Now, I say, well, and then he gets off the hook, and they say, well, we try to hit him just because I can't understand. That's because he's the real 007. They said, no. They're going to get Nixon out. I says, well, I don't think that's right. After all, he's not an intelligence man. He's president. He's trying to do what's best. He's a good family man, a good Christian. How can you say you're going to kick this man out? Hoover says, he's going against me, and he's out. So what did Nixon say he was then? A cocksucker. And he says, Hooverists are cocksuckers. And I didn't say that, he did. Do you understand? So I'm in this thing here, and they got it blocked. And they want me to make a move so that any move I make, they can write down, he did this. That's because he thinks that way. And so forth. He can lie, which they would do anyway. Until finally I said, one of you are going to have to move. I've got the right of way. So finally, my fellow says, and I says, you silly cocksucker. You understand? That's what they are. They want you to walk up to them, and then they'll give you an immoral gesture. You see, I'm here, you have to walk up to me, and then they throw me an immoral gesture. Because they're Hoovers. They dominate. And I don't know if they do this worldwide. I think so, because wherever I went, that's where they were, playing the same dirty, criminally insane Hoover game. Hoover gyrations. You say that's the truth. That's the truth. So now, as expose editor, I start with that and say that's why we have to revolt. We have to revolt against. They are revolting against the laws of God and man, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, civil rights. They have revolted against that, and we have to revolt against that quagmire they have us in, and get our government back. Well, I say to all of you, that is the truth. And I'm willing to take a polygraph, lie detector test anytime, but they wouldn't let me say what the truth is. So I say, well, I grin and bear it. It's hilarious. But I say, as far as Hoovers, they're cocksuckers. Not by my word, by the word of a president in office who knew them. And that's the truth, and take care.